Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here for me. What is a pretty cold Saturday afternoon? I've seen a few of you commenting in the comments about being a little bit chilly where you're at, and you're in what I would still consider pretty moderate temperatures. I wished I had 50 some odd degrees right now, Fahrenheit. So we're going to go over a few things today. First, I'm going to take a drink of my RC. We're going to go over what I've got accomplished this week and two different designs, and I'm going to show both those in Lightburn, but these are going to be simple things. We're not going to be really long in the tooth today, I hope. But I'll try to address any questions and go over any issues that you may have and answer any questions about the designs that we're going to talk about too. So, and I've got the first batch of T-shirts went out to those who helped me with the YouTube membership bonus thing they had. The bonus features over, and for those who have done the 90 days, 3 months of membership on YouTube and got me their information. The first batch of T-shirts went out. I think some of you may have even received them. I don't know. It's possible you might have if you were close enough to me. But they went out Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday. They went out this week. And I worked on this design and this design this week. And this one, I never heard of this before. It's a miniature bookshelf for digital books. One of my supporters, and maybe in the stream here today, Dwayne, I believe it is, had one of his customers seen this on Etsy and asked him if he could make them one. And he's like, "Yeah, I can do that." And he got to thinking about it. It's like, it's just struggling getting his mind wrapped around the version they sent him. And plus, I didn't really like that style. The top of it set on the top of the bookshelf, and they had books sitting on top of it as a counterweight to hold it in place. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. I want it to be self-supporting, not have to worry about anything. I said, so I can come up with something. I'll come up with something. So the ideas for that is once they've completed an audio book or a digital book, then I get this person actually made their own little foam cutout with printed book jackets, and she shelved her completed book library. Kind of neat. And I was surprised at the number of folks who have already downloaded the file. It is on hobowithwood.com. But this piece, yes, I'm fully aware it is December the 7th. Christmas is not here yet, but it's December the 7th. And if you're still trying to figure out designs for Christmas, you're about 4 or 5 months too late. I'm now starting to put some designs together for February for Valentine's Day. So, and I'll show you this. And that's a 4-layered design, and I like it. It's twisted and looks like it's, depth and falling away. And in fact, I went and asked for my neighbor's opinion. I've got one neighbor in particular, very sweet lady, but she is, and she's very honest. Man, is she honest. She don't pull no punches. But I went to ask her, I said, give me your feedback on this. And she's like, well, I like that. It seems really intricate or involved. So she said, as difficult as that appears to make, it's probably going to be out of my price range. She's also very, very, what's the proper word? The polite word? Frugal. She's very frugal. And I said, well, I'd probably sell that for about $20. And she said, oh, that's not bad. She said, I'd pay $20 for that. So I'm like, okay. but it's a real simple design. It is one of the layered pieces, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that in Lightburn today, and also the roadblocks to watch out for when you're trying to create that. And this is a very, very simple piece. And she was like, oh yeah, this looks like that'd be really complicated and hard to put together. And so she immediately thought it was going to be an expensive item. But it's one of the easiest pieces you can do. It's one of the easier designs you can put together. And I'm going to show you how to do that step by step, but it is also in hobowithwood.com already. And very quickly, I'm not going to bother going down a roll call of everybody that's here. If you're here, you know it, and I appreciate you being here. But I am going to go down a list really quick of the folks' t-shirts that have gone out. I have 4 names and 4 sizes that I have received, but I got it after the cutoff for this order. So it'll be going in my next order of shirts that will be sent out. So, but I want to go over the names that have gone out. So if you don't hear your name in this list or see your name, because I'll show it on screen too. That way you can pause this and go back and look. Oh, there's my name. He just said it wrong, or he didn't say it. But if you don't hear your name and you're expecting to have a Hobo Nation Laserologist t-shirt, make sure you send me your name and your mailing address and your shirt size. And I'll have one more order of those coming in, and I'll get those out. I should be able to do it in 2 batches. So let's, in fact, let's see here. I'm just going to scroll down. Let's see. And I just seen this Clayton is in Hawaii, and he's not saying anything about it being really, really cold, but I guess, for people who are acclimated to the environment and the temperatures in Hawaii, what would be considered cold to them would be a night I'd sleep with my windows open. Because I seen someone in here that said, oh, it's cold. It's 50 degrees. I'm like, yeah, I wished it was 50 degrees. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here's somebody said, yeah, Hawaii. Highway 70 said they received a t-shirt. That's good. So some of you, I figured some of you probably would be getting them. I'm going to mark this spot in these comments so I don't scroll back all the way to the beginning when I get ready to do anything. And let me pull up the list of names that have gone out. And I'm just going to do this really quick. There's not a whole lot of, it's not like it's going to be a half hour of names, but I want to do hey, these are the ones that have shipped. Because anybody that's looking for a shirt, I want you to know it's either coming or I don't have your information yet. So switch. So again, these are the shirts that went out. Let me start at the top of the list. So David Bune, Peggy Casey, Scott Burgum, Tom Cowley, Carl Riley, Andy Hohen, I guess, Rick Holland and Rhonda Holland, Bruce Olin, Stephen Moulton, Brad Stauffer, Jeff Benedict, Brad Salisbury, Craig Bell, Gerard Collette, Chris Gallagher. Oh boy, Chris and Gerard and another one. Y'all like to broke my bank on that one. You can see what those cost to ship out. Catherine Patterson, Jesse Griffin, Jack Sandstra, Chuck Wheeler, Jeff LaPierre, Valerie Fanning, Scott Sparrow, Thomas Dukerich, Dale Gillette, James Elbert, Richard Maney, and Bruce Olson. Those are all the shirts. And actually, no, I take that back. Thomas Dukerich, those on the 3rd, those last ones I just called out, those were people who ordered the paperweights. So Dale Gillette, James, and Richard and Bruce, those were your paperweights that went out. And hopefully some of you may have already seen those. I do have more of the paperweights in. I've got some more coming. I guess they were coming from different warehouses, so the gross that I ordered didn't all come at once, which I would have liked. But I sold out of all the paperweights last week, really, really early. I've got more. I've got orders that came in today prior to going live, and I think I've still got 30 plus inventory on hand. And what I did for the guys that ordered in the initial order, because I was slow getting them out, I threw them a little bonus in there. And I said, you know what? I think I need to create a package. So if you haven't seen it, I've got they come in a little gift box. So they're perfect for gifting after you've engraved them. But if you open up the little gift box, you've got the crystal paperweight. And in order to engrave these, because they are tapered, you got to engrave on a flat surface. They have to sit in your laser bed flat. So I created a template, and I will share the pattern with anybody who buys even just one. So you'll have a pattern to where you can make your own. But it's 4 layers. The 3 of the 4 layers have got a ledge on them, so that when you set the heart in there, the heart is able to sit level. And now it's ready for engraving. Well, for the folks that ordered the first batch, and because I was late getting them out, I included this with your orders. I gave you an actual jig so you don't have to make one. And I thought, that's a cool idea. I'm going to, for anybody that orders 10 or more, I'll include a physical jig with the order. All right. Now, the t-shirts that have gone out, I went over. Now, the orders, the names that I have not shipped. Dale Dubs, I have your information. David Tusher and Jonathan Gilliam. Either I've got your size and information, and they'll go out with the second batch. If I have not called your name that they've shipped, or you weren't in that last 3 names there, and you've done your 3 months, or you will have done 3 months in the YouTube membership, send me your mailing information and t-shirt size so I can get you included in the second batch. And like I said, on to the designs. This is a cool little concept, and I've made it so that it will fit on any shelf size. This is adjustable. So it doesn't rely on anything else to hold it in place. It goes on there and it fits nice and snug. And and funny enough, the woman who requested this design from Dwayne, she does have a house full of cats. So I'm not guaranteeing these to be cat proof, but they are cat resistant. And I'm going to show you this design in Lightburn and how simple this is to adjust for any shelf size whatsoever. And then we're going to jump straight in to this multi-layered piece. And this is only 4 layers, but and I'll talk to you about the technique on painting these two and how to help further the illusion of the depth. Well, Scott, you're running late, but you just got here just in time. I just did a roll call on all the t-shirts that have gone out, and I see that Phil comment, but I'll look at that in a second. But we're just getting ready to get into the design part and the fun part. But you want to go back and watch the replay to see if about the shirts and stuff. I think you had a shirt that went out. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm late. Shame on you. Now you've moved over to the metric sizes. About time you moved over to this. Yeah. I work in both. I work in imperial and metric. I work in both. Tim, the t-shirts were the free t-shirts, even though they technically weren't free. That was YouTube had a deal where they started offering memberships on YouTube. And initially I refused to turn that option on for my viewers. Then they sent me a request, said, hey, please turn that on. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it. And they said, okay, we'll send you a bonus. They offered to pay me up to $2,000 just for turning that option on. They were going to give me $1,000 flat to turn the option on. And then another $10 up for the first 100 people who signed up. There's another $1,000 just to turn on the membership. And I'm like, that's crazy. But YouTube kept 20% of the money for the membership, 20%, which is highway robbery. And so I said, okay, but for that $2,000, I'll do that. I turned it on, told everybody about it. Sign up for 3 months, $10 a month. You spend $30 and then cancel your membership. You will have spent $30 and I will have gotten the $1,000 bonus plus the bump for up to the 100 extra people. 67 people took advantage of that or helped me take advantage of it. So I got $1,670 from YouTube. The $30 I got from you guys went toward the cost of the t-shirts, the screen printing, and the shipping. And I do include everybody when I ship out. I do not exclude international shipping. If you're, especially for several of you, this is why I'm doing this 3 p.m. time slot. You know, there's a good handful of you here that are in this stream that are not in the continental U.S. And that's why I do this stream, to accommodate you folks. Well, it'd be kind of foolish for me not to also include shipping stuff out to you when I can. It hurt a little bit. It all come out about a wash because there were a couple of them went to New Zealand and 3 or 4 went to Australia. And the ones going to Australia, they were $30 and $35. One of them was $37 in postage, just regular postage to mail a t-shirt from North Carolina to Australia. So the postage alone cost me more than the money I collected from the people who signed up. But it all washed out. It all come out into balance. Let's see here. Exclamation points according to you. Good. Let's see here. Question or exclamation points. I would like to be a gold member, but I don't do monthly payments. Would you accept that? There's a yearly option on there, Phil. There is because I have several gold patrons that pay annually. So yes, that option is available on Patreon. I have no control over that at all. Patreon keeps a smaller percentage. That's why I encourage folks not to do the YouTube. Go over to Patreon and comments, banners. Go over to Patreon. There it is. Patreon.com/hobo with wood. And there is a yearly option. Don't bother with them comma units. I'm guessing not Stanley's referring. Don't bother with them, the metric. I tell you what, not Stanley. And we're gonna be working in designing in Lightburn in a minute, and I'm gonna be working all in metric. Working in metric is a whole lot simpler. Units of measure, and you'll see why in just a second. I still work in both, and because I work in both, you'll see why it's a little bit. And I have to work in both. For those who are not in the U.S., when we buy something here like this, when I buy this, it's a 5-inch shadow box. 5-inch shadow box, not 4 inches is 114.3 millimeters. I forget 127. This is not marketed as a 127 millimeter shadow box. It's a 5-inch shadow box. And so I will have to work and design in both standard and imperial. But when I'm designing on my own without having to integrate a pre-existing piece, I work in metric. It's just simpler. Okay. All right. Now, mark this. And yeah, not Stanley. Bah humbug. Exactly. All right. Now, let's get over to Lightburn here. And I need to open up First, I just want to show you this silly little file here. And if you, and again, the files that I design and help show you how it works, it may be something that's like, yeah, me personally, I would never have a use for anything like that. That small little digital public library or shelving. But the idea of designing something like this so it will fit onto a shelf and be self-supporting, but then also make sure that it is an adjustable design for myself for future use, and or if I'm going to be designing a file that I'm maybe going to sell and offer to people, but it needs to be, adjustable. Say, yeah, I need it for a 1-inch shelf. Well, you don't have to go in and recreate it because this is adjustable with the resize slots and selection tool in Lightburn. And close that and open file, recent projects, mini library. I got a warning here. The file, see users. What you talking about, Willis? It says file can't be found. Uh-oh. All right, let's see if the destination's just moved. Because I've got it online. Let's see, file. We'll try open, instead of opening recent projects, we'll open it from the saved position. Mini. There it is, I hope. Got it. Okay. All right, Scott says t-shirt just got here. All right, cool beans. All right, now let's switch over to Lightburn. So if you download this file, it will come to you as so. And I don't have it on mine, but that's just a little signed digital library that you could cut out and glue to the front face of this, or you can change the lettering, say whatever you want it to be. But if you select this entire piece, well, before we do that, I think I did it in 3mm slots and tabs, and we'll double check it. And there, yes, 3mm. And if you get a design, you're like, well, what was this made for? Just open it up and grab your measurement tool and measure the one side of one of the tabs or one of the slots, and that'll tell you what the thickness that the design was made for, what material thickness it was designed to be used with. Here, I did it with 3mm. Over here, if we check this one, that length is 19.05 millimeters. And let's can't say okay and turn off that brown for a minute so you can see just that one line. And there you go. 19.05 millimeters, or 3/4 inch. And here is an example of why I work in both metric and in standard. Here in the US, most of your shelving boards, the 1x6 that you see in typical shelving, it's actually 3/4 inch wide. Even though they call it a 1x6, it's 3/4 inch wide. And that's why this is done at 3/4 inch. But I see that's 3/4 inch now. So I can, if I want to leave it all out of 3mm material, but I want to make it out of a true, or to fit on a true 1-inch board, I can use the resize slots and selection tool. Tell it, I got to change it to standard. There we go. Tools, resize slots and selection. It's 3/4 inch was the original, and it needs to be a 1-inch board. And I need to change the slot width. Oh, they're in group shapes. I didn't look at my warning first. Got to ungroup it. And I'm still seeing all right. Ungroup. There we go. Now tools, resize slots and selection, 3/4 of an inch. I want to change it to 1 inch, and I want to change the slot width. And there we go. Now it's allowing me to change that slot width. But here it's also wanting to change these, and we don't want to change those. So that's a little bit of an issue. Let's see if I change my tolerance to 0. All right. That eliminated those, but not those. And this is something that I didn't test for because I didn't need a 1-inch board. But that's odd. Oh, you know what? There's always another way. Cancel. I selected all of that, so it had those included. So now I'm just going to select just those, not include those slots. Go to Tools, go to Resize Slots and Selection, 3/4 inch slot width, increase my tolerance so I can make sure, there we go. And now I can change that, and it's not affecting those. And I can change those to whatever I need it to be. And that's one of many reasons why you don't want to move things as, or use this tool when things are grouped. You can't use it when they're grouped. And that's probably why they put that in there. You have to ungroup everything so you can use it, so you can select individual pieces and not have to resize everything, including pieces you don't want to. Now, and I want to show you, if for some reason you wanted to make it to a smaller board, and it changes the out. If you go larger, it's not going to affect the brick print that's on the side because you're just going to cut it out. But if you need to go narrower to a skinnier board, then the print won't match. But let me show you how to fix that. And again, this is not just for this design. These tips that I'm trying to show you, you can use these in any design that you might have, or you already have, or you buy from somebody else. These are not design specific tips. But let's say right now, let me turn this one back on. So I've got this brick printout here, and I'm going to need these to fit a 1/2 inch board instead of a 3/4 inch board. Well, I'm going to say Tools, Resize Slots and Selection. My new material width is going to be only a 1/2 inch. I need to change my slot width and tell it to apply and say, okay. Well, now I've got this gap down here between the original design and the new material size. So I'm going to select that entire piece. And let's see, the easiest way to do this, actually see if I get these grouped. Nope, that's not grouped. All right, so I'm going to turn off my red layer. Now the red layer is turned off. I want to select all of that one and go ahead and group it, and select all of that one and group it. And now those are grouped. So now they're easier to select. Let's turn these back on. And now I need to increase the size of these. In fact, I don't need to do both. I just need to do one, and I can duplicate it. But if I just hold this and just stretch that out and make that bigger. Oh, come on. That didn't quite work the way I wanted her to. I thought I could make the whole thing. Let's try and center it up over that. Nope. All right. Again, this was not planned or rehearsed. That wasn't working. I was hoping I could just blow it up and then cut out the new shape, but that didn't work. Let's show you what will work. Undo. Put that back. I'll go back to that one and actually ungroup it and grab all of that row right there and say Control D, duplicate it, and bring it down and position it like that. And then go in and delete the ones that I don't want. Delete that. Delete. Oh, wrong. I deleted the wrong one. Undo that. I need to put that in line mode. And this is something else that I've started doing when you're working when you're trying to designing in fill mode, it makes it difficult to grab pieces when they're on top of each other, whether they're on the same group or not. You can, if they're in different layers, you can change the priority to bring them up or down within on their placement on the design. But if they're on the same layer, you can't move one forward or back. You have to be able to grab the line of it. And instead of changing everything to line mode, I've started going up to window and changing it to wireframe. And now it's still in fill mode, but I've got line mode showing here. So I can select that one. I don't want that. And just select. And then now that I can see them, I can just select all of those right there and delete that. And then I could use this, Control D, duplicate that. So I've got a duplicate of the outboard pattern. I'll group those and say that group less that piece there, and say Control B, look at my intersection. Yep, that's the one I want. And say okay. And so that fills that up. If I put it back in fill mode, or I had it in fill mode. I need to change my preview window to filled smooth. There we go. That fixed that. So you don't have to completely redesign a piece or just because you've had to make. You can edit pieces really, really, really easy when you learn how to use the tools that Lightburn has. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater to get the result you're looking for. So now let's look at, because a majority of you here are wanting to look at the layered pieces. And I'm going to go back and look at any of the comments since I marked my spot, and then we'll jump into the layered pieces. And I'm going to grab another drink of RC. Yep, Scott. Yep, Scott got his t-shirt today. Don't understand that one. If the measuring tool in Lightburn don't work, you can always use measuring tape on the screen. Yeah, you do have the measuring, but why would your measurement tool not work? And then plus, if you're needing down to the 10th or the 100th of a millimeter, you want your measuring tool. We design at a certain thickness, but boards rarely match that. Well, and how far off can it be where we need to make corrections to fit as tight as the design calls for? I just finished. I'm working on a design of coasters, or an order of coasters. I just finished a 2 sets, and I've got to make boxes for them, and that's what's on the laser back there now. And I started to cut it or extend the job to the laser prior to going live, but I've got to resize them. I've got to resize the slots and tabs. My designs, typically when I design at 3 millimeters because that's the nominal thickness of the material that I buy for the Baltic birch. But as you said, it varies anywhere from 2.8 millimeters to 3.2. I've even seen 3 millimeters. And if I want a very tight friction fit, and I do, I make the material that's going on the bed, and I adjust the material every time I cut out a box. Every time. Because I'm going to glue them together, but I don't want the glue the only thing holding them together. I want a tight friction fit. And I use an... I really got to clean this place up. Because I've misplaced my rubber mallet, but I'll use my little pecker to put most of my boxes together because it's such a tight friction fit. Hammer them together, and then a little bit of glue goes a lot longer way. But I adjust every file to accommodate the material thickness that I'm using. Okay. Let's see here. How do you laser a crystal where the design is in the middle of a crystal? With a laser. How else would you do it? but not with a diode laser. Most of those that I've seen, they use a YAG laser. YAG, YAG. And I've got one. Don't know what to do with it, but I've got one. A YAG laser is also what's used in the medical industry for laser hair removal and for tattoo removal, because it is, I guess, works below the surface. You again, I'm speaking from a point of that I've already told you the amount of knowledge that I have. But the YAG lasers, I believe I read they're green. They're not blue diodes. I believe they're green. Where the CO2s you don't even see them. The wavelength is you don't see the laser. I don't think. But the YAG laser, I believe, is green. And the you can set. I guess you have to be able to set the depth that you want the interaction to take place, because I've seen them where they engrave, like you're talking about, within a cube. So you tell it, I guess the pulse rate or whatever, how far to penetrate the surface to do its thing. They're neat, but it's a whole different ballgame. Let's see here. In fact, Jack's saying that it's a special 3D fiber laser. I don't know if fiber, and I guess maybe the YAG laser might be a fiber. I don't know, but I'm yellow and green YAG intersecting lasers. YAG, yellow and green. Okay, all right. Mark this spot, and now let's jump over to this fun little 3D piece. And this is what most of you want to be here for anyway. So those that showed up late, you're not missing much. You haven't missed a whole lot. But this piece I have a bunch of these 5-inch shadow boxes, and I bought them fully assembled. Just a 5-inch shadow box it's about an inch deep. Already come with a hanger on it and the little rope on it. I got them from the Dollar Tree. And I bought them in bulk from the Dollar Tree from their website, because it might be 10 or 12 in the local store. But that is a cheap vessel for creating projects. This is something that I will sell for $20, maybe even $24.95, and you can customize them. If you got to have a precision laser like the Rollei MK2, and be really good with framing and finding your position. But I actually framed or engraved the outer edge of the frame because it was thick enough. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. And my neighbor actually, I called that one Falling in Love, and it's got the heart in the middle. And I thought, Falling in Love, Tunnel of Love. And I'm going to play with a new design where these are all, you see the twisting going. There's not a curve in this design anywhere. These are all straight lines. Every line in here is a perfectly straight line. But my frugal neighbor said, "Ooh," she said, "I like that." She's Twisted Love. And I said, "Oh, I like that. Twisted Love. I like that." But for Twisted Love, I think what I'll do is all of these that are straight lines, I'll take and curve, make those all an arc, like the conch shells, I guess, so that you'll have a curved piece that's spiraling in, and then call that one Twisted Love. That one's going to be a little bit more fun to create. And because these are all straight lines, it's actually one square I created, and then used that one square to create that entire piece. And that's what we're going to do now. So let's jump over to Lightburn, get rid of all of this, and actually just say new, no, discard everything. All right. Now, before I do that, something to think about. Typically, when I'm designing, I want to design my smallest size and work out, because that way, if I've created it at its smallest possible you plan to be used, and if you scale it up, it's going to scale without any issues. But if you design it fairly large and it gets down to where there's some really small pieces in that large piece, and then you scale it down, well, now you have impossible pieces. Well, the way I'm going to do this, and there's always another way. And here, I'm not trying to teach you with this design the simplest or the best or the most efficient way to do layered pieces, but these are the elementary basics. That's why we're going to work with one shape, one design, and then show you the roadblocks to look for and how to look for them. And then once you start to grasp the concepts, then you can start expanding on that, adding more than one shape to it to create more and more pieces, or more and more lines to the piece. Well, I can show you online, but first let's get back over here to Lightburn. So the first thing I did here is I drew out my 300 by 300 material, and 300. So now that is a piece of material that I can place on my work bed. And I do an offset of that of 10 millimeters. So now I've got a 280 millimeter square and a 300 millimeter square. Right? Isn't that 280? Yep, 280 and 300. I'm going to group those. Now that I've got those grouped, I need to start creating miniatures of this. Now, there's always another way. Sometimes there's better ways than others. Sometimes there's more efficient ways than others. I don't like to say, well, that was the wrong way. There are some ways that can produce a better outcome than others. And what you need to think about if you're wanting to create the illusion, I wanted to create the illusion of depth with this piece. So not only does having those squares rotate and create that spinning look, in order to also create the illusion of depth, each one of them has to become a smaller and smaller and smaller thickness on each one of the squares. So if I hold this up here, and let me grab my dental tool. So the outermost square, that's the thickest one of that light pink layer. That one gets a little bit skinnier. The next one, you're wrong way. That one gets skinnier yet. And they continue to get skinnier and skinnier until I get all the way down to that innermost pink one. That's only 1.5 millimeters. And that's another thing. I did this with the 10-watt laser because the 30-watt laser would have burnt that material away because of how large the spot size is, and it would have just burnt that away. So you need to be thinking about, well, what laser you're using, how strong is your laser, what is the thinnest that you can cut out and still feel secure that it's not going to fall apart. So you got to know your laser. But let's get back into the actual technique of designing this. And so by designing this first one, that's 30 with a 10 millimeter offset, I'm 300 and 280. Now I'm going to select that one, and I'm going to use my circular array tool. You don't have to use your circular array tool, but I'm lazy and I'm going to use the circular array tool. So there's nothing else out here but that one. There is actually two, but they're grouped together, so it's one object. Circular array, and I want to start at 0 degrees, and I want to end at 90 degrees, and I need 10 copies. that will automatically do the math and create the step for you every 9 degrees. It's going to create a new image every 9 degrees rotated. If I was to do 10 copies and tell it to start at 0 and end at 360, that's what you get. You get a different outcome. I don't want that. I want this one. The original is 0 degrees straight across there, and I want it to rotate until the point is at 90 degrees. So 0 to 90, not 60, 90. There we go. I want 10 copies, and it's going to create the step automatically. I don't want to bother grouping anything, and I don't need to select the results. Now I say okay. Now, this one right here, the original one, there should be 2 of those there. The original plus the one, once it rotated all the way around, it created a duplicate on top of itself. And we're going to need that duplicate. But that's the original size of my material. It's 300 by 300. So all of these that are protruding outward, they're obviously way too big. But I'm going to start right here at this 90-degree corner, and I'm going to select the first one. And then I'm going to come up here and grab this, and I'm going to start. I'm holding my control button so it shrinks it down from the middle, and I'm going to shrink it down to there. Grab the next one. Shrink it down to where it's overlapping the one I just shrunk to. I need to bring in a little bit more. To about there. And I can fine tune these once I get it cleaned up. But coming straight down that line, grab the next one, shrink it. Grab the next one, shrink it. And right now, I'm not worrying about the precise placement because I want to clean it up first, and then I can edit them as I need to. I'm getting them close from this point of view. And get that there. And then there's a duplicate here, remember. I'm going to select one of the duplicates and take it all the way down to the middle. Now that I've got them cleaned up, I can go in and look and see how well did I get the placement of my, because I want to make sure that this is as close to that edge of that the outermost piece. So I can take that one out a wee bit. That one needs to come out quite a bit. And here. And the last one. All right, so there's my basic pattern. But now I need to weld all of these together. And these are pairs, but when I click on that pair, it's one object. And whenever you're using your Boolean tools, you can only use Boolean tools with 2 objects. Your objects may consist of 200 lines or 200 shapes, as long as 100 of them are grouped as one object and the other 100 are as grouped as another object, and it's only 2 objects. Doesn't matter how many are in the other objects. So I'm going to select that one and hold my shift key and grab that one and weld it. Still holding shift, weld it. Still holding shift, weld it. And just keep duplicating. I'm never releasing shift. I just keep grabbing the next one and weld it together. Grab the next one and weld it together. So there is the basic, or that what I should say is actually that's going to be the topmost outer piece. Now that there is at 300 by 300 dimensions, and if you're going to and I'd use this a lot, 300 by 300 a lot. One, because that's the material I buy. It's my premium Baltic birch. And then two, it's essentially 12 inches by 12 inches. And it works great with the 12-inch shadow boxes. I buy a lot of the 12-inch shadow boxes, and these fit within there. And you don't even have to do anything with the outer perimeter. Cut them out, stick them in, you're good to go. But now if you're going to downsize this to the what is it, 127 mil, 105 inch, give or take. This is why I work in this is why I prefer metric over standard, because this box, while it's a 5-inch box, the internal perimeter of that box is 4 3/8 of an inch. Well, you need to put 4 3/8 of an inch dimension into Lightburn, and that's not 4.5. It's not 4.25. Converting it to a decimal, well, you don't have. If you knew what that was, and a lot of you who are machinists who have worked in imperial all your life, you may already know exactly what 4 inches and 3/8 converts to. But if you don't, while you can't actually enter it that way, like you can enter it, and Lightburn will calculate it for you. But it's so much simpler when you can just say, give me 3 millimeters or 10 millimeters. It's not just a right nice round number. But you don't have nice round numbers in that often when you're working in inches. But watch this. So I select this entire piece, and I come up here to my size. In fact, right now it says it's a little bit it's barely over 300. I'm going to tell it go back to 300 by 300. But I need it to be 4 inches, 4 3/8 of an inch. So if I select this entire piece and I come over here and change it to, and actually you don't even have to change it. When you're working in millimeters and inches like I do, you can leave it there, but then just tell it, like if I wanted this to be 4 inches, I just tell it 4 inches and enter, and it's going to go there. It's going to do the calculation and calculate that for you. But I need 4 inches and 4 3/8 of an inch. And it'll do the same thing here. If I come in here and tell it I need 4 plus 3/8 of an inch, 4 plus 3/8, and enter, it calculates that to 4.375. And or it's 111.125 millimeters. And that's why I say it's not 110 millimeters, but it'd been nice if it was just 110 millimeters. And you could do that and it'd fit. You just have a little bit more gap around the edge of it. But so I'll work in both. I'll go back, but Lightburn does make it easy for you to work in both, because you can actually put in 4 plus 3/8 of an inch, and it will do all the math and figure it up for you. You don't have to have mics. If you just got a tape measure and you can measure, okay, it's 3 15/16. You can put 3 plus 15 divided by 16, and it'll do all the math for you. And you'll have exact measurements, as exact as you can get with a tape measure. All right, now we've designed the outermost layer. How do we get the sub layers? How do we get the layers underneath it? And it ain't rocket science. It's one of the simplest things you can do, but there's one trick that you have to do to make it work. And actually, before I do that, let me go back up here and look at my place mark. And there's my place mark. Let's see here. Yeah, and a couple of you, my regulars, John and Neep, are both saying, "Hey, y'all hit that like button." I'm guilty of this myself. Sometimes I'm watching the first 5 minutes of something. I ain't gonna hit that like button because I don't know if I like it yet or not. But if you are learning anything by this, and or you just simply find me stupidly entertaining, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm and helps promote the channel. But if you're like Scott here and you've already learned 3 things and we're just still getting started, Scott, you better have hit that like button by now. Hey, look at who's in the house. Hey, Dimitri, just jumped on wishing you and your followers Merry Christmas and a healthy, Happy New Year. And to you and all yours, sir. Happy Merry Christmas to you and to Leo and everyone in the Rolly Nation. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're staying warm. Dimitri's up there, and well, I don't know. I guess he's in Canada this time of year. He has been known to globe hop a little bit, but he's a little bit further north than I am. All right, so now let's look at the one thing that you have to do to create those sublayers for this design to make this yeah, Montreal. Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. All right, now back to Lightburn. So let's put this back in a design mode or in a line mode. All right. Now, right now, all of this is grouped together. Once we welded and all those shapes together to create that image, it's all grouped. I'm going to, and then pay attention. All of these are showing you a dot, dash, dash. That's indicating they're part of a group. If I hit ungroup one time up here, everything goes to dash, 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 dash. You miss, your dots are gone. When your dots are gone, they're no longer grouped, but everything is still selected. Leave everything still selected. Hold your control button and click on the outermost perimeter, and that will deselect the outermost perimeter and now group all of that back together. So now you've got a group with an outer perimeter separate. Jim, I see your question, and I'll address that here in a minute. All right, so now we've got a group of the original, and again, this is going to be our topmost piece, and I have already sized that down to be that 4 3/8. And if I take my measuring tool and come in here and look at this line right here, this is the thinnest one. And if I measure that, oops, I didn't hit my cap button. There we go. That is in inches, so it's hard to tell. Millimeters, that's 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter. And that, my friends, is why I did this with my 10-watt module in the Rolly. A little bit smaller spot size. I'm wanting to cut out a 1 millimeter piece, even if it's just a fraction larger on the spot size of that diode. It's a fraction larger on each side of that line it's got to cut. So now it's going to cut that down from a 1 millimeter, or was actually 0.98, to maybe a 0.7, or even, by the time you get done with your kerf. So I like using the 10-watt module when I'm doing really, really small and intricate cuts like that. So now I've got this piece grouped together, and that's by itself. I'm going to leave that. I don't want to do anything to that. That's my outermost perimeter, and it's not going to change. I need offsets of all of this. And what I'm looking at is I want to create offsets in here to create multiple layers, creating the depth of these pieces. Now, I typically, when I'm doing my sublayers, I do this a lot when I'm designing. The thickness of my material will often play a factor in how large my slots and tabs are, but also in this, it plays it's a factor in how big my step down is. So if I'm here, I'm working with 3 millimeter material. So I've got one layer, and I want the step, and it's going to be a 3 millimeter drop. I want to keep that kind of uniform. So I'm going to do a 3mm drop and a 3mm offset. And then I'll do another 3mm drop and 3mm offset. Personal preference. Ain't no right way, ain't no wrong way. I just think that that looks more uniform and is more aesthetically pleasing. And like I said, this is going to be one of the simpler designs you can do when it comes to layered pieces. And my very frugal, opinionated neighbor told me, oh man, that looks super complicated. I don't know if I can afford that one or not. But this is so simple. It's ridiculous. Let's see here. Back over to Lightburn. So I've got that original piece selected. I'm going to come in here to offset. And am I in inches again? Yep. And I wish there was a button right here that I could hit, because it's that way in some of the tools, but not in offset. So because I work in both, I frequently have sketch myself having to go back and switch. So offset, and I want to do a 3mm offset. And I want to do inward. And actually, I think I'm going to change that on this one, because I went down to that 4.38 inches. I think I'm actually going to do this one at 2. It's going to be a little bit different. So there's 2, because I want to be able to have room for another 2 more layers in here. So if I left that at 3, see how tight that's going to get? I've got maybe room for 1 more layer, but I want to get another one in. So I'm going to do 2mm, say okay. And now that's select, and I'm actually go back and undo that. So when I go into my offset tool, I have select resulting shapes turned on. Do not delete your original object. Come inward and do corners and say okay. So that selected that new offset. So I just got to come back and just do it one more time. Select my offset tool and say okay. So that just created another inward offset there. So now I've got 1, 2, 3 layers. So now I've got 3 layers of that inner piece, but I've only got 1 layer out here. So I'm going to duplicate that piece, Control D, duplicate it, hold my shift button, and select that innermost offset right there. They're grouped because I told the offset tool to group them. So now I can just drag that over here. Control D, duplicate that outer piece again, hold my shift button, grab that innermost piece, drag that over here. And then I've got that, and those just need to be grouped. And actually, I need to group up all those. I didn't group them. And now you'll have, that'd be 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer. So that's a 3-layer piece. If I select them all and just tell them bullseye, put it back in the center of the page, that's going to layer up like that. Now, if you want to get an idea of how that's going to look before you actually go and cut it out, you can create the illusion of layers in Lightburn by putting them on each layer on a different color and then putting it in fill mode, and then be sure you have them in their priority stacked. And it's that you have to stack them in reverse order. And I'll show you here in Lightburn. So that your topmost piece will be on the bottom of your priority. So if you want to see what that image is going to look like, let's I'm going to separate them. There we go. And when you decide to go paint these, paint them. Again, these are my opinions I'm offering you here, and we know how we feel about opinions. But to create the illusion of depth and it falling in and away from you, the lower the image, the lower the layer, the darker it should be. Here I've got a dark purple. Then I've actually, you can hardly even see the red, but there's a colonial red on top of the purple. and then there's a hot pink. There's actually 4 layers on this one, and then a hot pink, and then a very, very pale pink on top. But by having the darker layers underneath, it helps add to the illusion of the depth of it. So I'm going to do the same thing here in Lightburn. This one is my deepest, most layer, so I'll put it on that in a fill mode. This one goes on top of that, and we're going to put it on that layer, and this one we'll put on that layer. So now they're all in fill mode on different layers. And if we look over here in the priority list, C25 is at the top of the priority list, so it's on the bottom of the stack. That's in the middle, and that one's at the bottom of the stack, so it's on the top of the physical stack. So now if I bullseye those and put it in the center of the screen there, there's what that would look like once you painted it up and put it together. Not hard to do. Not hard to do at all. All right, Randy Day, do you have any issues when you try to move the switch? Well, if you don't move it, do you have any issues when you try to move the switch back to 30 from 10 mode? Mine is hard to move, and sometimes it will not switch back until you turn off the machine and restart. I have not had to turn it off and do that, but now, full disclosure, when I first started switching back and forth between my 10 and 30, I had been using this on the 30 watt for everything, period. And the first time I went to move it, it was locked. It did not want to move. It was just, and so I ended up, and it hurt my little thumb whenever I finally got it to push down, because, and that was from the debris, the smoke, there was, the switch just got stuck. But now that I'm switching back and forth regularly in between uses and on each project, I don't have an issue. But if you do have to be careful if you have a switchable, and knock on wood, the technology, I hope to be in the very near future to where there won't be a physical switch on the modules. It'll be controlled by Lightburn. There was conversation about that with Leo, and I think there's been conversation about that within Lightburn. You can there's already the toggle where you can tell it turn on and off the air assist, but be able to switch from 10 watt to 30 watt. That would be super ideal, and get rid of that mechanical switch altogether. But if you do have a mechanical switch and you're switching whenever you're doing a project like this, you do have to be very, very careful, because if you even move that a millimeter, then you need to rehome it and then start again. Otherwise, your stuff's not going to line up. But the very first time I went to move it, it was stuck. But once I did get it free, and now I make sure when I'm cleaning a module, I make sure I clean and spray some what do you call that? It's for circuit boards. I drew a complete blank now, but I don't spray LA Awesome into my module. I use the circuit board cleaner for cleaning the module out. I make sure that my switch moves good and freely. Well, Dimitri says, clean your switch and a dab of WD-40. I ain't never put no WD-40 in there. But yeah, lubrication. Lubrication is your friend. Yeah. Alcohol may have made it worse. Yeah, because alcohol will evaporate and leave everything, takes everything away from it. Wait a minute. Are you just not getting here? We're done, brother. We're done. We're gonna make this a short one today. We done. In fact, we made it a short one. Now going to look at something a little bit different. I just did that design. Shame on you, Craig. We did that design where I did it at 300 and shrunk it down and then just made sure that I did not lose anything there. But let's do a experiment. Let's do a quick experiment. We're only an hour 10 in here. Because typically when I design from my smallest piece out. So, and I did want that to be really, really small on this piece. And like I said, it's right at 1 millimeter, and I'm going to focus this time. That inner line there, that's a little bit less than a millimeter. And now you can see all 4 colors there, the dark purple, the red, the pink, and the white. And that one was 4 layers instead of the 3 like I just did. But I wanted to have that really, really small piece in there. And I'm a little bit froggy. There we go, I think. We're going to switch to Lightburn, so this don't matter. If I wanted to have a millimeter piece on the inside, let's start with a millimeter piece and go out. Let's try that. This is a experiment. I have not done this way, but we're gonna try it. We're gonna try to do the same thing, but in reverse. All right. It should work. Shouldn't it? We'll see. Switch. All right. So let's kill that. I'm going to draw me out square. And let's say I want it to be 3/4 of an inch or we'll say 15 millimeters. And we're going to do an outward offset of that 1 millimeter. All right, so now I got that. I'm going to group those together. Now that I've got those grouped, I'm going to use my circular, and I've got my smallest one here. And actually, I need to know I know what my outer diameter needs to be on the finished piece. But let's see how this is just going to work. We're going to create, we've got that one. We're going to do the circular array just like before, starting at 0, ending at 90, 10 copies, and say, okay. Nothing's grouped. So now I'm going to come out here, and if that 90-degree corner right there, that is my first piece. That's my original piece. That's they're all, I guess, well, no, they're not all 90s. That one's a 90, but the smallest one is my original. Yeah, because that and that is the original group. I'm going to come out here. I'm having a hard time picturing how to do this one this way. I want to go outward with it and see if I can blow it up and get to an end result. Oh, so if I come here, it's already. No, I want to come there. Duh. I'll get there, folks. Having to thinking backwards, thinking in reverse. So I'm taking, there's my original corner right there, and I'm taking that piece to where it intersects that one. Now I'll take that one and draw it out to where it intersects that one. There we go. And then keep working it around. Oh, I didn't hold shift. Undo. Hold shift. Bring that out. Be sure to hold shift so that it keeps everything expanding from the center. And I've gone too far. I need to bring those back in, but I can do that now that I've got them out. I can see it better now. All right. I went to the wrong side of those. I should have gone to there with all of them instead of there. But I can fix that now that I can see it. And then bring that last one out. There we go. And now I just need to go back in and fix them. So there, I designed my smallest piece and went outward. There we go. That's where I should have took it to. Way to go, dum-dum. It was too muddy. The design was too full of too many lines. I couldn't see it. But now that I cleaned it up and got it, there we go. We're getting there. So yeah. And that is going to be your best way to do that. Design your smallest piece and go out from your smallest piece, because that will ensure that it's going to work. You can always blow it up and it's going to be fine, but this will give you the result you're looking for when you make it at its smallest possible size. Continue shrinking that on down. There we go. Now we're cooking with Crisco. And some of you may have been hollering at me in the comments about me screwing it up as I was doing that, but I don't have a moderator to watch what you're saying and what I'm doing at the same time. So, but hey, we got there. I may have felt your vibrations as you were screaming at the computer. There we go. And then do the same thing again. You're just going to select two, weld them up. Select two, weld them up. Weld them up. Ungroup it. Hold your control, deselect the outermost, group them back. Do an offset. We want to go inward. And being that they're so small, this time we're not going to be able to get by. We'll do a 0.5 millimeter drop. Say okay. Do another offset. Okay. And if you can you get a third one in there? Yeah, possibly. Or fourth one. Say okay. Select your outermost one, Control D, duplicate it, and then go in and grab your innermost set of offsets, group them, move out the way, grab your outer piece, duplicate it, zoom in and grab your innermost offsets and group them. Grab your outer one, duplicate it one more time, grab your innermost, group those, move those over, and then group all that one. And again, there's your bottom layer. Put that on your darkest color, your next layer, the next darkest color, then there, and there. And now bullseye them all together in the center of the page. And you get something like that. I think I didn't, yeah, I like the outcome of the designing bigger and shrinking it down more so than I did the second version. But again, these were just the basic techniques about how because a lot of people get confused. They were getting lost when they were trying to do those offsets because they did not separate the outermost perimeter. And you don't want to include that when you create those sub layers. That's always going to be the same. The outer perimeter is what it is. That doesn't change. You create offsets of everything else in the middle, and then duplicate your outermost perimeter, and then create layer, create layer, create layer, create a layer. All right. I didn't mark my spot, but I remember Craig being late. Okay. Not today, Dimitri. We're an hour and 20. We're gonna be done here in an hour and a half. We'll be done in 90 minutes today. I'm gonna want to go eat. I'm a hungry boy. I haven't had lunch yet. Let's see here. Looking for any questions or comments regarding anything I've done. I would make the smallest one in a different color than the others to tell it apart for moving them. Yeah, and hey, oh, wrong button. Like I said, I don't feel like there's a right way or a wrong way, and it's what works for you best. I was just showing you my way, and this is a really, really simple piece. In fact, for those that are here in the stream today and you haven't seen my shot through the heart, this was, and I need to label this for my Valentine's designs, digital files. In fact, just in case you aren't aware of this, because I'm starting to get a lot. In fact, there's 187 different unique digital files on hobowithwood.com. And when you go to the website, the homepage will show you the most current or the most recent stuff. But if I switch over here and we go to the homepage, there's the new products. But then you've got your digital files. And I don't understand why my laser blanks are not working correct. There's the olive wood cutting boards I've got, but it's not. In fact, I'm glad I pulled that up. Those are on sale. These are extremely expensive olive wood, but for the month of December through Christmas, I got them at half price right now. I've only got a few. Yeah, I got 10 left. And these things are really, really beautiful pieces of olive wood. Once you engrave them, I use them for artwork. I don't use them for, in fact, squirrel. Let's deviate. Once you put a finish on it, there you go. There's before and after. That olive wood really pops. I don't use them for actual charcuterie pieces or anything. I use them for artwork. And I've only got 10 of them left. I've got them on sale. These things, you see them online on Amazon for $40 a piece for a 9-inch mini Italian olive wood cutting boards. Just like what I've got pictured there, they're anywhere from $40 to $50 for a 9-inch board. I've been selling them for $35. I've only got 10 left. I'll do them at half price between now and Christmas for $17.50. You won't find that price on that board anywhere that cheap. But my other laser blanks are not showing up in here, and they should be. But if we go back to the home page, there's the crystal hearts. And I've got some other stuff. It's not showing like I want it to, but back to the layered pieces. If you go down to the very bottom of the home page, you can search for whatever you're looking for. I've got some Halloween. I got a sugar cookie, and then I've got my shot through the heart. Now that one, I really love that one. That one I'm really, really proud of. And it's a multi-layer piece, and I call it shot through the heart because, let's see if I can, that one's not going to zoom in. Let me zoom up anymore. There are, can I do control zoom? Nope, I don't want to do that. That was a search button. Oh, anyway, there's 6 shooters. There's a 6 barrel. There's six shooters, and then right there are hearts. There's hearts around each one of those, and there's hearts around the perimeter. So that was my my take on Shot Through the Heart. And that's a really cool piece. But I did that Shot Through the Heart using some of the same basic techniques I was showing you today on how to create the offsets. Mind you, it was a whole lot more elaborate initial artwork than a single square. But you gotta get the simplicity first. Figure out how to do those little things. Then once you got the concept down, you're like, I got that. I see how it works. Now you can create more elaborate patterns like my Shot Through the Heart and start creating your own multi-layered objects. So you can, if on the home page, you have the search feature at the very bottom of the page to search out different topics and different items. So got John's comment and question. Anybody? Yep. Let's see. Where did you get the olive wood? West Penn Hardwoods. West Penn Hardwoods. They do have a website, wphardwoods.com. Any info on the MK3 Lasermatic? Last I seen, I think he was shooting for spring. If Dimitri's still here, he's more than welcome to chime in. In fact, if Dimitri's still here, if he wanted to, I can send him a link and he could jump in here and tell you about it. But he may have already took off. I know that they just released the UV. I started to grab one of those, but right now I've got too many other pokes in the fire. And realistically, I don't personally have a use for the UV. I was going to get one just so I could help educate you guys on how you use it, what it works, how it works, but I can't afford that investment right now. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's not UV, it's IR. Thank you. Thank you. Infrared, not UV. Sometimes you got to know what I'm thinking and don't pay any attention to what I'm saying. Sometimes. I'm trying to do slate stone on my Rolly. I just finished some. Anyone have any tips for engraving an image on slate? Well, I just depends on what your image is, I guess. I just finished doing some, and I don't know why those are showing up backwards. I had them upside down. Stupid. Did I tell y'all I need to go eat? There we go. They weren't backward, they were upside down. I'm dummy. But there, I just engraved those on slate, and I've got some more monograms. So you're wanting to do dog faces. All right, so if you've actually got an actual image, a photograph, I don't do a lot with actual images. I haven't done any in a while. In fact, let me pull my Lightburn back up here. And I need to, let's see. I don't have, I do. File, import. Is that it? Yeah, that'll work. That'll tell me what I need. All right. So when you look at images, you have all of the different image modes. You've got a ton of image modes. Threshold, ordered, Atkinson, Jarvis, halftone, grayscales. Those are where you are going to, some of them work a whole lot better than others. Some of them don't work at all. And if I recall correctly, I use Jarvis a lot myself, some Atkinson, and but I have seen some that, and it also depends on the end result you're looking for. Grayscale is difficult to use with, I think, with the diode. It's not recommended. In fact, there is even a note in here. With a CO2 laser, this is a variable depth and not shading. And with a diode, this can give great shading, but it is harder to use than dithering. And I think personally, I've used Atkinson or Jarvis the most when I do images. I don't do a whole lot of images. They, if they're for your own personal use, that's great. But when people are saying, "Hey, can you engrave my dog for me?" and they give you a poor quality resolution image that you can take to other softwares, you can do some upscaling in Lightburn, but some others will use Image R and other things to try and get it as high resolution as possible, and then bring that in and process it and get all the colors right and get the highlights right. And images are, especially if it's a dog, someone's dog, your dog, or you're doing it for your neighbor, they have extremely high expectations of what they're wanting. And if you're putting it on slate, that's it's not going to give you the best resolution in the end result, period. So if you're working with a really, really low quality resolution image and then putting it on slate, which is, I guess, like more of a porous and uneven surface, people do it. But I would make sure, if you're doing it for a retail customer, friend, family, whatever, that they have some realistic expectations of what their outcomes are going to be. It's not going to be a Polaroid. No, I do not do any tape on the slate. I just put it on there and have at it. I use Dimitri's. I use Dimitri's settings, and I was looking at the comments. That's why I got froze. I use the 10-watt diode, and I use wrong button. I use 9,250 millimeters a minute, and 88% power on the slate. But I'm doing just regular SVG, or just regular images right out of Lightburn, not an image, but a graphic. But you want to have some realistic expectations on trying to do photographs on stone. It's tough enough to do it on wood, but now you're trying to do it on an uneven slate surface. It's going to be less than ideal results. If you see where they do images on granite for headstones and stuff like that, that is a polished, slick, smooth surface, and usually paint filled after the fact. So it's able to add more detail to it. But with your slate being unpolished and uneven, not ideal. Not ideal. Yeah, depends on the original. That's why I mean, Image R, you can upscale some of the stuff, but if you're having to try and take something that was somebody's Polaroid that was scanned, and then you're trying to bring it in and get it to resolution that you're going to do with garbage in, garbage out. You need a really high resolution image to start with. Yeah. Hillbilly, and Robert must be semi-local. Hillbilly's Barbecue in Lowell, not Lowe's, in Lowell, is great for supper. Yeah, in fact, I went there twice in the past, within the last month. I've been there twice. I like their hamburgers and their steaks more so than I do their barbecue. But I'm going to Japan for dinner tonight. Going to Japan, all the way in Lincoln, Japan and Lincoln. All right. So yes, yes, a graph. So uh, yeah, you're going to have to do some testing. But if it's an actual image and you can select your mode type in Lightburn, I like Atkinson and Jarvis for my images, but others prefer others. So test, 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 and then test some more. All right. I'm gonna call it. Anybody got any other questions about this? It was and I did see some numbers. One's through what was the highest number we seen? I seen a 4. A few of you learned some stuff today, and that's good. That's what we always achieve for, is that we're here to learn, right? I've got this file in 4 layers. Do I have that on the website? Pretty sure I got it on the website. Homepage. Home on the range. No, I don't have this on the website. I guess I need to put that on the website before I go to eat. I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably get this uploaded, but I think I'm gonna go eat first. But this is simple enough. You've seen how to do it. If you didn't get here in time to see it, either going from out in to out, or out to in, this is not hard to replicate. It's not hard to do at all. That's a very, very easy design. We'll be there soon. Are you coming to Japan to eat? You better have some type of oh, well, there you go. There's another one. You better have something with the warp drive on it. Black inverts his images, and I guess inverts them when he does it on slate. So I haven't done any images on slate. Yeah, I miss a lot. I left a compliment. You missed earlier. 2-4. Have a good one. Well, thank you for whatever it was you said. Thank you. Oh, and I'll bring this up and then we're out of here. I invite you to send me problems. Email me. Put my email up there again. Banners. Hobowithwood@gmail.com. I invite you to send me problems you're having. I want to know what kind of problem you're having, and if you're having, it's Lightburn. I don't need to know that your daughter's been knocked up by the neighbor's best friend. I don't need to know them problems. Keep them problems to yourself. I want to know about your Lightburn problems and your design problems. If you're having an issue with how to do something, or Lightburn's not cooperating, but I don't need to know, hey, this isn't working. I need to see the file with what you're doing, because it may be an actual file issue, not a Lightburn issue or a cockpit error. It may be a problem with the file, and I can't tell you that if I can't see the file. I can't work with this much information. What kind of problems are you having? When are the problems happening? What is it doing? And send me the file you're doing it with. I'll look at everything and then see if I can replicate what you're doing. And then I will invite you. In fact, Craig, are you still here? See here. Right, copy. All right. Craig is still here. And I'm going to go over here. And nope, not there. That ain't what I wanted either. Dum, da, da, dum, dum, dum. Go back. Go back. Go back. Craig, I'm going to send you a link in Messenger just for the heck of it. I want to show people how simple this is. So either, or if you're on your phone or if you're on your PC, You do not have to have a computer to connect with me. In fact, Craig, I'm going to ask you to do this from your phone, because a lot of people, they don't have a camera hooked up through the computer, so they can't do this with their computer, or maybe they don't even have a microphone on their computer. But 90% of you guys who are got the ingenuity and you're using lasers and you got a smartphone, and your smartphone's got a camera and a microphone on it, and all you got to do is click on a link, and then it's going to connect you to me, and you and I are going to be able to share FaceTime. So you guys, I'm going to send paste. So I just sent Craig a link to where he can click on his link on his smartphone and join me in a chat in this stream. And I want to add him to the stage. As soon as he gets connected, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding, ding dong, ding dong. And I hope I sent him the right link. Because it's so much easier to communicate like this than it is to back and forth with emails. Invite. Yeah, I sent him the right link. He's in Florida. He's having this. Everything takes. Look, maybe he's a storm down there. But you can do this with a smartphone. You don't have to do it from a computer. And it's so much easier to converse about your issues. And I had a beep. So Craig is here. I'm going to hit add to stage. Hey, say hey to Craig, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
All right. And are you on your smartphone?
I am on my smartphone. There's my computer.
Okay. All right. So guys, now, so this way I can communicate with Craig and talk to him about what is he doing. Or if he's having a problem and the file's not doing what he wants it to, I say, okay, walk me through what you do step by step. And then he can tell me. And then I say, okay, there's where this is why, because this is grouped. You didn't ungroup it. So thank you, Craig. I want people to see this ain't hard. And how many times have we done this now?
Steve, every time you do it, you help me so much. And it's really great to be able to see it and share the screen.
Yeah. In fact, like right now we're in fact, let me go over to here and switch that back to there. And then I can say present. I can keep Craig here, share my, and if Craig is able to connect from his computer and talk. So there's my screen, there's my Lightburn, and I can still see Craig and myself, or I can make just the Lightburn prominent, or go back to us. But Craig, if he comes and connects with his computer, he can actually share his screen with me too, and he can actually show me what he's doing instead of telling me what he's doing. So I invite you guys to do this so that it's a better communication than back and forth with emails, and we can get your problem resolved. And a lot of times if you're having a problem, it ain't just you. Somebody else is having the same issue as well. And Randy, I haven't seen Randy in the stream today. Randy contacted me with a problem. He's having with a file today, but he told me what his problem was. He didn't include the file, and it was a very vague description. I think I might know what's going on. And I offered to connect with him earlier today, but he never clicked to join in. So I will help you. I'll do what I can. And I don't ask for, have I ever asked you for any monies to help you out?
No, sir. And the nice thing is he doesn't just do this for gold people. He does it for everybody. That's why we love Steve, and brother, you mean the world to us. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you jump off. I appreciate you showing and demonstrating, folks, that, you don't, I mean, Craig did it. You don't have to be a rocket science, folks.
No.
Thanks, Craig.
Take care.
So I will help you. You don't, and like he said, you don't have to be a patron. But I do get frustrated when somebody reaches out for help, and I'll try, and then I'll try and connect, or I send an email back, and you wait in 3 or 4 hours. If I'm usually pretty good about answering pretty promptly, but right now, I'm getting ready to end this, and I'm going to eat. I ain't gonna be nowhere near a computer, and I ain't gonna be able to help anybody else for the rest of the evening. I'm done. But tomorrow I'll be wide open to be able to assist people live one-on-one. All right. So looking for any last minute comments, questions that I need to worry about. He's down near the Tampa area. Let's see here. uh, uh, we got some comedians in the chat. If y'all hadn't been following the chat, Andy shows up. Hey y'all, I'm late. What I miss? And Jack says, "Hey, Hobo gave the first 40 people laser-matics." Yeah, that was a Christmas present. Not. But I did get your shirt email, or not emailed. I did mail your shirt to you, Andy. You should have your shirt either already or to be there first of the week. Well, sorry, and Ed, I'm sorry that it is a little bit confusing, and even I have a hard time keeping it straight. I have it in my calendar so that I know when I'm supposed to be 3, when I'm supposed to be 9, and it's just every other week. But I understand. I forget what times is which, so I understand missing it. But thankfully, you got the replay ability. All right. Yep. So Craig says this is West Central Florida, Chuck. All right, guys. I'm out. I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna have me some Japanese rice and some, what do they call that? They call it shrimp sauce. Ain't no shrimp in it. Ain't nothing about it fishy, but they call it shrimp sauce. Don't it's mayonnaise, and I know how to make it. It's mayonnaise, mainly mayonnaise. All right. Y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your upcoming week. Enjoy the rest of this weekend, and we'll see you next week. Again, I have no idea. I'm going to do. I've got an idea for a design that'll be a video, and then we'll do next week. Next Saturday will be 9 p.m. All right, guys. Y'all have a good evening. What time tomorrow? Tomorrow what? We ain't doing nothing tomorrow. Or what time will I be available tomorrow? I'm available to help folks out. I should be up, since this is an early night. I should be available anytime after 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'll be available to help folks. All right. I'm out of here. You guys have a good weekend. I'm going to go eat and feed this. I'm about to waste away because I gotta get something in my belly.